to the Chicken Bone News Network, where you can hear all the breaking news first. And buddy, have I got some out of control black news for you today. Yes, I said it. Out of control black news. That's all we're finding, or I'm finding, pretty much, is out of control blacks. And I'm not afraid to show it to you, because you need to know what's outside your front door. I got it everywhere from 3 different graduations to a doggone funeral. I mean, they were at a funeral outside, at a graveside funeral, and pop, pop, pop. Hell, they went to shooting. I mean, Lord have mercy. Black people, what is your problem? Why? The warmer the weather gets, the worser y'all get. Yes, it is. And I really want you to watch each one of these stories, because especially one with this black Mobile police officer, and he tells it like it is. I mean, he tells these newscasters, look at here, y'all quit asking these stupid ass questions about what kind of gun it was and all this, but let's focus on blacks killing each other. Why these blacks are shooting each other. Let's focus on that. All right, well, look here. Let's go ahead and get started with the one at the funeral. Lord have mercy, you can't even go to a funeral. You know, me and Stacy passed by a black black cemetery. Well, I guess whites are buried there too, but hell, all I ever see when me and Stacy ride by are black funerals. A bunch of black people there, you know. And we pass by. It's on one of our main routes when we go to town. But Lord have mercy, I might have to change routes. You know, they might be going to shooting off there. Pop, pop, pop. You know, because your blacks can't do nothing. They cannot gather anywhere without shooting each other or running over each other or pop, pop, popping each other or stabbing each other or breaking into each other's car. Blacks, y'all are out of control. Is it all of y'all? No, it's not all of y'all. But doggone if it ain't a big number of y'all that's doing it. Yeah, I said it. I'm not afraid to say it. Look at these stories right here, and if you look after looking at these stories and you can't say the same thing, then you just don't want to stereotype, don't want to tell the damn truth, you just want to ignore it. I don't know, but there's a big problem in the black community. And it's like this police officer said, y'all don't be focusing on what kind of gun it was. Y'all start focusing on why come the blacks are shooting and killing each other. Shooting kids, shooting teenagers, shooting women, shooting each other, he said. Hell, let's shoot a damn unicorn if they could find one. Check these stories out.
And here at 4:30, we're continuing to follow breaking news out of Racine. The Racine Police Department asking the public to avoid the area of Graceland Cemetery due to a shooting at a funeral. And we have just learned in the last few minutes that Ascension All Saints Hospital, which is nearby, it's just down Osborne Boulevard from this cemetery, is now on lockdown as a result of this shooting. Now, according to police and funeral officials, there were shots fired at the funeral of Deshante King. Family members tell us 5 people at the funeral were struck by gunfire. We're working to learn more about their conditions right now. Bruce Harrison live on the scene, the ground there, to tell us what it looks like in the area. Bruce, good afternoon.
Tom, I'm standing at Graceland Funeral Cemetery right now, where the shooting took place, and it's very clear where the family was gathered. If you look back here, you can see a red tent or awning over the site of Deshante King's burial this afternoon, the event which was disrupted by a shooting that, according to Racine Police, happened just before 2:30 this afternoon. We're still trying to learn exactly how many people were injured. Family tell us 5, but they were unable to tell us to what extent those people were injured. I'm in constant contact with Racine Police as well. Their PIO just has told me they were uncertain also. Just to give you an idea, Tom, of how big this crime scene is right now, we're going to send it up to our NBC affiliate in the sky, Channel 5 out of Chicago, for a live picture and a look. From the ground, I can see at least a dozen, if not more, investigators with dogs. They're canvassing the area around the site of the burial, most likely looking for bullets that traveled across this part of the funeral from a road all the way to the site where Deshante King was being buried. And family and funeral home tell us family members were hit. Now, we have a better idea here on the ground, if we can throw it back down to myself and Ryan Whitaker, of where the shooting came from. Now, we know where the family was gathered directly behind me, but over here to my left, you can see this street is full of yellow markers covering shell casings. So it would more than likely appear that someone pulled up in a car or walked up on foot. Police have not clarified at this point, and opened fire from that spot. There's at least a dozen markers indicating where the gunfire came from toward the direction of Deshante King's burial. And I just want to wrap quickly by saying that we've talked to a couple residents, including those parents of young children who say their kids were outside when this gunfire started. People that family, the funeral site. So just a very reckless act, and we're going to learn more and keep you updated here from Racine. Reporting live in Racine, Bruce Harrison, TMJ4 News.
And Bruce, we should point out, I know you've covered this story for a while, Deshante King was a 37-year-old man that was killed in a police shooting back on May 20th. Is that correct?
That's right. Killed just last month. We were down here covering that along 12th Street. What we know, very little from the police press conference that followed King's death, was that he was the subject of an investigation. They were looking for felons in possession of firearm, and they pulled him over because of that. Police say then King then ran from officers on foot out of his car, and it was a way that he was shot and killed by an officer. Police told us that King arm made some kind of action that led to the shooting, Tom. And that's all we know from police about King's death. And now we're
okay, having some issues there with Bruce's signal. A lot of action going on in that area, so that's wreaking havoc on our signal there. But the gist is the latest right now that we know, at least 5 people shot during a funeral there in Racine at Graceland Cemetery, the area.
You can't even go to a funeral, black people, without acting up. What in the world is wrong with y'all? The guy that the funeral was for, he was a thug, and I guess it was some thugs that wanted some get-backs and retribution or whatever. I don't know. I just don't know. I don't have any idea of y'all's mindsets whatsoever. Now, this is in Chicago area, and we know it's off the chain up there. But, Lord have mercy, you can't even go to a funeral and pay your respects without having to worry about being shot. And this ain't the first time I showed y'all stories about shootings at funerals. Lord, black folks just love to shoot. Pop, pop, pop. They love to shoot. I don't know. Look here, I'm going to show you that story about the... and this is in Mobile, Alabama. This police officer, I think he's a sergeant, he's going to tell it like it is now. And he says he don't care what y'all do to him or how y'all report that story, how he talks like he does. But he is telling the truth. Check him out.
The victim's name is 14-year-old Sierra Jackson, C-I-A-R-A. The suspects have been charged with capital murder and transported to Metro Jail.
And did the suspects know this victim, or do they have any kind of relationship?
No. This 23rd homicide of the year is heartbreaking to me personally. Sierra's 14. She died on the street named after Michael Donald, who was the last known lynching by the Ku Klux Klan in 1980. 40 years later, more innocent blood is shed on that street that's supposed to memorialize the death, sacrificed. And a black girl is gunned down on that street by a black man. It's disgusting. I said it. There's a subculture of gun violence in the city of Mobile with young black men. It's high damn time we did something about it. I said it. So no one has to be called a racist anymore. Our homicides, 19, 19, 18, 17, 16, 14, 11, and 4 years old were all black children. When are we as a city going to wake up and say, let's address this issue? I've said it, now it's out in the open, right? Whatever happens to me, fine. If you guys slay me in the media, fine, but don't forget these innocent black lives that have been lost. An 11-year-old yesterday, a 14-year-old last night. When is enough enough?
What do you think could be done to address this?
Let's say the truth first, Andrea. Let's say that there is an issue first. Let's everyone say it out loud. That's where we begin, because if we first say there's a problem, then we can find a solution. Let's start there.
In this latest homicide, were the weapons recovered?
Let's not get into the. We're not going to discuss whether the weapons were recovered now. It's still an ongoing investigation.
Well,
We'll release more information as it's available.
Can you tell us if a Glock switch was used?
But as it stands now, a 14-year-old girl was killed by a gun held in the hand of a black man. Whether it's a Glock switch, a shotgun, or any other weapon, the loss of the tragic life is my point at this time. Other information will come out as the investigation reveals, but I want you to focus on this young black girl that was shot down last night. Let that be what you talk about. Let that be along with the 11-year-old that was killed the other night.
Can you tell us anything about her? I mean, does she live in that neighborhood? Was she visiting there?
Well, as more information comes available, I'm sure we'll reach out to you guys, and maybe even her family might be. But as it stands now, I don't want any of this lost. What weapon was used, or if she knows anybody, I don't want her memory just to be that. I don't want her to be another number. I want this one to galvanize this city and make a stand against the violence that's being perpetuated in this city.
It's the second young person killed in 2 days. Are these crimes connected at all, do you know?
No, Andrea, we don't believe they're connected. The connection is that these guns were held in the hands of young black men. We need to figure out, young black men, why are you always grabbing weapons to solve these problems? Not all, but the incidents I just named are. Why? There must be a better solution than killing somebody. There has to be a better solution.
Were both of these individuals armed and firing that are in custody now?
They're both charged with capital murder and shooting into an occupied vehicle.
So,
They wouldn't have those charges if we couldn't prove that they were shooting a gun.
And what were they aiming at? Were they targeting?
I would say they were aiming at Sierra, wouldn't you?
Yeah, well, I don't know whether they were aiming at her or trying to hit somebody else. Were they targeting her individually, personally?
Or was she caught in the crossfire like the 11-year-old? Do we know anything about?
We'll release more information about that as it comes available.
Obviously, you're extremely affected by this one, and for good reason. This is the second child in 2 days. Like you said, when is enough enough?
Nicolette, it breaks our heart. There are men and women over off camera that have shed tears, that are heartbroken just like I am, that are saying that we're saying, when is enough enough? And all these poor innocent lives that I just named are being lost in the shuffle. They're being lost by all these other questions that everyone's asking, where the most important question is how do we get these young black men to stop killing black women and children and each other? That's the most important question that no one's asked. Well, Sergeant John Carlos Young just did. It's out in the open. Follow up on it. Start doing news stories on that. Ask South Alabama to do a study on our homicide suspects. Ask the University of Mobile to do a 10-year study on homicides and who's committing them. Ask Spring Hill College to go do background checks and who had single fathers and what were their education levels. Let's figure out a solution to it instead of constantly talking about how they died and do they know each other and the Glock switch. No, you won't ever get this from me again. But this time it hurts. And it's high damn time somebody says something about it.
And no other suspects at this time?
We'll release information as it comes available. That's all for right now. Thanks.
Well, did you see how the people from the news stations was asking questions that didn't really have, well, I guess they were important. To some, it might be important, but the real problem was not addressed by anyone or any real questions asked. You know, here's this police sergeant trying to focus on what the real problem is. You can't find solutions until you acknowledge the problem. The problem, like he said, is black men, black people. You know, let's do some studies. Let's find out why come these blacks are wanting to kill all the time. Why they wanting to shoot each other. Ask me some questions about the blacks, why they're out of control. Don't be asking me about was it a Glock, was it a revolver, was it an AR-15? Look, it don't matter what it was. It don't matter if it was a damn slingshot. The blacks are killing and shooting each other and stabbing each other. But nobody wants to do a study about that. Nobody wants to ask questions about, well, let me ask you something, officer. Why do you think the blacks are so out of control? No, they don't want to ask the real questions. They just want to ask these stupid questions. Well, was it a Glock? Was it a AR-15? Did they know each other? Do you think that's who they were really shooting at? That cop's like, he was getting frustrated. Boy, I tell you what, he did good under pressure. I would have lost it. I would say, look at big boy. You know, I don't know if she was the intended victim or not, because all y'all blacks shoot like this, pop, 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 sideways. So, no, I don't know. But the bottom line is, nobody wants to address the real problem, and the problem is out of control blacks. All right, let's move on to some graduation parties. This is supposed to be a time of people being happy and proud. They graduated high school. This might be the last time that some of us ever get together again. And, so let's have us a little party and celebrate. Let's celebrate how we did it. We accomplished school. We graduated. Now we can move on to other areas in our life. And let's have us a good time one last time. It don't work like that for black people. No, it don't. No, they can't go to a party. They can't gather anywhere. You just saw they can't go to a funeral without wanting to shoot each other. So let's look at some of the graduations this year so far and see how they're working out.
Anniston police releasing information on a shooting at a graduation party that injured 6 people Friday. Police are now looking into several suspects. Police say those at the party ranged from 14 years old to their 20s. ABC 3340's Bobby Portervant spoke with witnesses at that scene and brings us updates in the case.
A graduation party filled with 150 people turns violent after a shooting early Friday morning. Anniston police believe a fist fight started at the party and people outside of the party got involved. Next, a shooting. It happened at New Riders Motorcycle Club on Front Street. Ellen Wagner lives next door and remembers seeing teens run through her yard.
Hundreds.
6 people were shot and have non-life-threatening injuries. Wagner saw one of the victims across the street.
Just hollering and screaming.
Police say many shots were fired. Now Wagner combs through her yard looking for shell casings.
There's one here. There's one there.
Anniston police say several vehicles were also hit. Jamarian Orr's truck now has 12 bullet holes in it. One of those bullet holes is right here at the driver window. He says he was only here picking up his brother, who was an attendee at the party. He says he's thankful no one was inside his truck when the shooting happened.
Probably would have died. I'm just being honest.
Anniston police are investigating the case. They say witnesses and victims are being cooperative. In Anniston, Bobby Portervant, ABC 3340 News.
Now, anyone with information or videos related to the shooting should contact the Anniston Police Department.
Well, that black woman said they just come running everywhere, running all across my yard. Yeah, these blacks, I'll tell you what, they can be very entertaining, and they have entertained me so much over the years. Fred Sanford, George Jefferson, Sammy Davis Jr., he was funny. They could be very entertaining, but they could be very, very dangerous. Yes, they are. They are very dangerous. You can't even go to a graduation and celebrate a part of your life. And like I say, move on to something more. You're growing up, so you move on to maybe going to trade school, learning a trade. Oh Lord, but these blacks ain't studying none of that. Not the majority of them ain't. At least the ones that's going to these parties don't seem to be having nothing on their mind about getting better in life. Lord, no, they're trying to end each other's life. All right, well let's move on to Atlanta, Georgia. Let's check out this graduation. Oh, this has got to be better. Can't be no worse, can it? Let's see.
Marietta, tonight police are asking for your help catching the shooter who ended a 17-year-old's life.
Yeah, police say it happened at Walton Village at a massive graduation party the weekend before last. Fox 5's Rob DiRienzo has new police body camera footage from that chaotic call.
Marietta police say a massive group of teens showed up at this condo complex. When the police showed up, they found the body of that 17-year-old boy. 2 weeks have passed and still very little answers.
It was a very chaotic scene.
Body camera video shows a Marietta police officer running up to the scene in Walton Village with his service rifle.
They did discover who we now know to be Grayson Green, who was lying on the ground with what appeared to be a gunshot wound to the chest.
Shortly after, 17-year-old Grayson Green died at Wellstar Kennestone Hospital. One neighbor at Walton Village who didn't want to go on camera says about 200 teens showed up from seemingly out of nowhere.
It was a big party, a party that I believe is got out of control. The party came from one subdivision and came over here.
Marietta cops say that first party was at an Airbnb outside of city limits on Saturday, May 21st. They think social media led the kids to the gated community.
They were trying to get in the gate, and one thing led to another, then big commotion, big fight, and then we heard the gunshots.
After Green was shot, neighbors called police in a panic. Once cops got there, surveillance video from a parking lot across the street shows the teens taking off.
You had kids coming out of every different entrance and exit as well as just over fences. So you had a very strange situation as officers were trying to run in to render aid.
Right now, those teens are investigators' best bet at figuring out who killed Green. Nearly 2 weeks after the shooting, police are asking witnesses to come forward.
We're positive that someone out there has seen this and can be that very witness that we need so that the family can get some closure and some justice.
And again, the big ask from police is if you know anything, if you saw anything or heard anything, to give Crime Stoppers a call. Right now, the reward stands at about $4,000. In Marietta, Rob DiRienzo, Fox 5 News.
Well, it wasn't no better in Atlanta, was it? Lord have mercy. It's coast to coast. Yes, it is. It don't matter if it's in Jacksonville, Florida, Miami, Florida, all the way up to Seattle. It don't matter. Washington State, it don't matter. Whenever you gather some blacks together, they are going to fight, they're going to shoot, they're going to stab, they're going to steal. Skip, you're just being prejudiced. You woke up with prejudice on your mind this morning. No, I didn't. I woke up to some news stories. It's just mind-blowing. And it's like that black police officer said, nobody's wanting to really talk about the problem. And until you talk about the problem, you're not going to be able to find a solution. Well, those were 2 graduation parties. Can't be no more out there, can it? Well, I don't know. Let's move to this one here in Virginia. Virginia's got to be better. Yeah, no, it ain't. It's coast to coast. It is everywhere. It's right outside your front door. I got this one, and I got one more. Then I got to get my butt back to work. I just got a list sent to me of some real good properties that I need to be checking on. But I want to go ahead and do this for you this morning, and because you need to know what's going on outside your front door. So let's go over to Virginia. Let's go to the state of Virginia and see if it's any better. It ain't no better. Check this out.
It started as a graduation party, ends in a mass shooting. This is CBS 6 Weekend. I'm Jake Burns. 6 people shot, 1 killed in Chester last night. We have team coverage, including crime insider John Burkett, with context and words from the mother of one young victim. But first, we start with our Tyler Lane on what we know about the situation and how it devolved, plus what investigators are asking of you.
This is obviously a senseless act.
The spot where dozens of young people gathered Friday night for what they thought would be a good time now the scene of a deadly crime.
There were between 50 and 100 people that showed up at the party.
Promoted as a graduation party for a Thomas Dale student, according to this flyer. Police say it circulated on social media, prompting people from Hopewell up to Richmond to show up at this Chesterfield home on Stepney Road. But they say the celebration took a violent turn when 50 gunshots were fired.
What was reported to me is that we had 2 fights between the females. I don't know that they were the same females. And then shortly after that is when the shots fired call came in.
Major Brad Badgerow says officers then arrived around 10:20 p.m. to find 6 people shot, including one who died, 20-year-old Tabari Carter. The 5 who survived are between 16 and 21 years old. 2 additional teens were hurt at the party from injuries not related to gun violence.
Did anyone happen to call police before gunshots that it started to get loud or too many people?
Yes, we had a call for loud music, disturbance. That held for a while, and then when the shots fired call came in is when we responded.
Badgerow says police received at least 3 disturbance calls about the party before the shooting, but officers didn't respond to them because of other calls that took priority, including a suicidal subject, a reported abduction, car break-ins, and a DUI crash.
Typically speaking, I mean, how many calls would it take for police to decide to then respond?
I don't know that you can really say there's a typical, because if loud music is loud music. That's what we know, right? If we didn't have all that other stuff going on, then we would have been there.
Badgerow now wants to assure neighbors in the area that nothing indicates something similar could happen again.
Just know that, number 1, this is an isolated incident. Number 2, that we are deploying all our resources to determine exactly what happened and bring those who are responsible to account for what they did.
At this point, police say they're unsure how many suspected shooters may be involved. They say most of the people at that party were between the ages of 16 and 20, so they're encouraging parents with children who went out on Friday night to have conversations with them. And if you have any information, please come forward to police. Working for you, I'm Tyler Lane, CBS 6 News.
Well, that little old police officer that was doing that interview, he just, I don't know. I wouldn't have much confidence in that police force. But then you got to remember, well, they asked him, how many calls is it going to take before y'all actually go out there and investigate and see what's going on? Wasn't there like 3 phone calls made? Well, yeah, but we're so under... Basically what he's saying is, y'all defunding these damn police, and you don't want all these police officers that we need, so we can't go out to every call because we're so short-staffed. That's what the bottom line is. They're short-staffed. But maybe it would have helped prevent this shooting if they would have went out there with a loud music call. When neighbors started calling and complaining, if y'all would have went out there, maybe y'all could have stopped some of this or prevented some of this pop, pop, pop. But no. But Lord, we got to defund the police. We need to put our monies elsewhere. We don't need to be worried about no police officers. All they want to do is shoot the unarmed blacks anyhow. Yeah, believe that if you want to. Well, look here. I'm going to show you this one more story. And just look at the people running. Look at what this story is about. Look at the color of the people. Use your eyes, people. Use your eyes. They're not going to tell you everything, but use your eyes and you will see what the problem is. The problem is out of control blacks. Yes, it is. Now check this story out, and I'll end it right here because I got to get on back to work now. But look here. If y'all like this video, y'all hit that like button. Share it with your family and friends because they need to know what's going on outside their front door. Be careful when you send your kids to a graduation party. And be careful whenever you go to a funeral or drive by a black funeral anyhow, because Lord have mercy. I mean, they are awful. And there's no other way of saying it, but they're just plumb awful. Yes, the blacks are out of control. They're shooting, they're killing, they're stabbing. They climbing over fences, getting in private communities. Lord have mercy, I don't know. Call me prejudiced if you want to. Call me anything you want, like that police officer said. You can say what you want to about me. Make any kind of comment you want to. But the truth is the truth. It is what it is. And it's out of control, blacks. And until we recognize the problem and face the problem and start talking about the problem and finding solutions for the problem's only going to get worse. Yep. All right, y'all hit that like button. Share it with your family and friends. And if you ain't subscribed yet, I'd appreciate it. Y'all go ahead and subscribe. I'll catch y'all next time. Pop, pop, pop. You know what? I need to quit saying pop, pop, pop because I might be planting that in your mind, subconsciously. Y'all might be thinking pop, pop, pop. All right, I'll see y'all next time.
Happened late last night on Church Street and University Avenue, right across the street from campus. And authorities say it's just the latest violent incident at that location. Cece Gaines has more on what happened and reaction to it.
U of M students are trying to get back to a normal day after multiple gunshots rang out in this area overnight. Today there are new calls for something to be done about a property in this area that seems to be the source of ongoing disturbances. Minneapolis police say they responded to the 1700 block of University Avenue just before 11:30 Friday night. Security cam video just into the newsroom shows what officers saw when they arrived. There was a chaotic scene with multiple gunshots ringing out and people running in every direction. At one point, you can see a person in a white sweatshirt and dark pants firing a gun. Those who live nearby call it a terrifying situation.
We all just kind of dropped inside of our house and just like we're very scared.
In just 2 weeks, this problematic property has been home to 4 violent disturbances.
We've had issues with them in the past, but it's never really been gunshots, and it's never been like happening as often as it is now. Now it seems like it's happening every night.
Students Cooperative Incorporated, the independent affordable housing provider that owns the property, has been trying to evict at least 5 people who aren't legally supposed to be there. The court hearing to hash that out happened earlier this week. And just before 11 Saturday morning, the Hennepin County Sheriff's Office was at the property to do an official eviction.
We secured the house, made sure there was no one left in the house, and at this point we will be given the official paperwork over to the property owners.
Now that the official eviction is in place, we're told no one is legally allowed in the property anymore, and anyone who was living here has 24 hours to vacate.
So now the property owners can do what they want with this property, whether they're obviously going to have to do some restoration.
Neighbors tell us life would be much easier if these disturbances didn't continue.
I think I would gain some part of my life that I lost, and just being able to go to school and live at the house that I'm living at and feel safe. It's kind of something that, I took for granted.
We're told no arrests have been made yet, but Minneapolis police say if you know anything about what happened last night or about this property in general, you should call Crime Stoppers. Reporting in Minneapolis, Cece Gaines, KARE 11 News.
Within the last hour, the lawyer representing the co-op tells us they're securing the property now that the eviction is official. University of Minnesota spokespeople tell us the co-op has no affiliation with the U and no current U of M students or employees live there.